I now welcome to the program Mr. Vickram Ramlal. He's the chairman of the Presbyterian Primary School Board of Education. The issue we're discussing this morning is the acute shortage of teachers within denominational schools. Now, all boards of denominational schools came together, have held discussions and are due to meet with the Minister of Education in the coming days. However, before that meeting begins, it needs to be understood what is taking place to get a better understanding of what might come out of that meeting. So Mr. Ramlal is with us via Zoom this morning. Good morning, Mr. Ramlal. Thank you for joining me on the program.
Good morning, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, Mr. Ramlal, it has been described as an acute shortage of teachers within denominational schools. What is the cause of this shortage?
Okay, I will have to place this in context, but first let me say that the meeting scheduled with the Honorable Minister of Education on Thursday of this week was not scheduled especially to deal with this topic. It is a stakeholders meeting. However, at this meeting, the denominational boards will raise the issue. In context, prior to October of last year, October 2022, there was a system whereby persons desirous of teaching in denominational schools would apply directly to the denominational boards through their religious institutions. So each denominational board had systems in place whereby candidates wanting to teach, let's say, in a Catholic, a Mahasabha, Presbyterian, Anglican school, etc., would apply directly to their religious boards. And after that, the boards of education will interview the applicants, and once the applicants met the criteria set by the religious bodies, they will then be sent to the Ministry of Education for interview. In October of last year, we were called to a meeting by the Teaching Service Commission, all denominational boards, and we were told that the denominational board system is going to be changed by the commission. Of course, all the boards objected to this, and between October and December, there was a series of exchange of correspondence between the Teaching Service Commission, the Ministry of Education, and the denominational boards, but there was no resolution. Eventually, in January of this year, the Teaching Service Commission advertised online for persons who are desirous of teaching in government-assisted schools, which are in fact denominational schools, should apply. In February, we were informed by the ministry that they had approximately 3,000 applications. They then sent each board a listing of people who applied for their particular board. So in the case of the Presbyterian board, we received approximately 900 names from the Ministry of Education. We cross-referenced those names with names of persons who met our criteria. And of course, we only got about 32 persons who met the criteria of the Presbyterian Church. However, the Presbyterian board, and in fact, all the denominational boards have refused to participate in this system. Two boards, the Mahasabha and the Presbyterian Primary Schools Board of Education, have sent pre-action protocol letters to the Teaching Service Commission, indicating that what they are doing is breaching the provisions of the Concord Act. So despite the press release you have seen from the Teaching Service Commission and the Ministry of Education, come September, there is going to be a shortage of teachers because they are going to interview persons and tell us that there's a list that we can choose from. However, the boards are not prepared to choose persons who are not of their faith or who do not meet the requirements of the Concord Act to preserve the character of the various denominational schools. Since October last year, no teacher has been appointed at the denominational school, hence the shortage that has now reached crisis stage.
The criteria of the Presbyterian board that you refer to, because we can't speak to the criteria of the other denominational school boards, but is it that, could you tell me exactly what this criteria is? Are you able to share that with us this morning?
Sure. To be able to apply and be appointed in a Presbyterian primary school, you must be an active communicant member of the Presbyterian Church for at least 4 years. This requirement has been set so that whoever is appointed will be able to, as the Concordat said, preserve the character of our schools by ensuring that the type of schooling and the type of school that we want to establish and run is maintained by those persons. If you come into our schools and you are not aware, you're not part of our religious institutions, then you will not be able to participate, for instance, in the type of worship we have. You'll not be able to share the type of morals and values we'd like to share with our students. And that is why over the years we have insisted, as of all other boards, that to be part of our system, you must be part of our faith. The second thing is that when we take persons who are not of the faith and later on they reach seniority and they want promotion, again, that becomes an issue. Because according to the Concordat, we are to appoint or recommend for appointment to administrative positions persons who meet requirements set by the various religious bodies. So we have set our criteria as 4 years and an active communicant member of the Presbyterian Church, meaning that you are worshiping with us, you are participating in activities of the church, and you're fully aware of what Presbyterian is in Trinidad and Tobago.
Let me ask you now, in regards to this new system of which you've referred to in terms of recruiting teachers, it does not align with the Concordat agreement. Do you believe that there is this now greater separation from the Concordat with the education system? Is there a level, I suppose, of disrespect, if we'd like to refer to it that way, in which now the Concordat is not necessarily being adhered to?
Our belief is that the Concordat is under attack. At various levels, attempts are being made to minimize and change the Concordat. The Concordat is an agreement between state and churches that started in 1962 between the then Catholic Church and the government of Trinidad and Tobago. This agreement allows the denominational boards the right to recruit and appoint members of their faith as teachers in their schools. And it is not, a lot of people don't understand the Concordat. The government pays the teachers, but we provide the buildings and the lands on which the buildings stand, which are worth millions of dollars, for the government to have the education of these students. We believe that at present, what is being proposed and what has been settled practice for the past 60 plus years is going to be eroded, and the rights of denominational boards, including the Presbyterian board, is going to be diminished under what is being proposed by the Commission.
Now, furthermore, with this shortage of teachers and no new teachers being recruited since last October, come the new school term, which is going to begin in September, what is going to happen there? Is there now, because of that shortage of teachers, the possibility that these denominational schools will not be able to accommodate as many students as previously?
But that has been stated in the comments of the various denominational boards to the media. We have vacancies that arise because teachers retire, resign, die, or are transferred. Those are what we call permanent vacancies. We have vacancies that occur when teachers go on extended sick leave, no pay leave, no pay study leave, special leave, and now we have teachers who are even going on quarantine for extended period because of the COVID. So all these are vacancies that occur in the school. And if we do not have bodies, that is, actual person there to teach the class, then the class would be without a teacher. And the principal will have to make some arrangement. One of the arrangements that the principal can make, they can combine classes. But if a teacher in Standard 1 to Standard 5 has more than 30 students, or in infants more than 25, they can claim, and their union will support them, that we are breaching the pupil-teacher ratio. And they can and will refuse in some cases to teach the additional students.
Now, what is the teacher-student ratio?
From standard 1 to standard 5, it is 1 teacher to 30 students. In the infant department, it is 1 teacher to 25 students.
Okay, and now let me ask you, you suggested that the belief is that the Concordat is under attack. With that being said, do you also believe that this lack of recruitment is a deliberate measure that has been implemented by the Ministry of Education?
But I wouldn't say the Ministry of Education. The present impasse is between the Teaching Service Commission, who under the Constitution is responsible for appointing teachers, and the denominational boards. We have been given certain options. For instance, we can fill our vacancies by selecting teachers from an order of merit list that the government has made available to us through the Ministry of Education. The boards have not accessed that order of merit list because some boards did scan the list and have not found anybody of their feet on that list. So we have not accessed that order of merit list. They have also mentioned the substitute teacher program, and despite this being touted by the Ministry of Education as being working, it is in fact not working. Because if you call any principal and ask them if they try to access this link, out of 10 cases, you might get 1 or 2 telling you that they've been able to access a substitute teacher. Again, when you choose a substitute teacher, which is on a month-to-month basis, there is no permanency in the job. The teacher will come, they will work for the month, they might change their mind after that because some salary is late, and there is no continuity. And again, when you are choosing from that list, very often you either do not get through or you do not find somebody of your feet.
You've also said that the Presbyterian board, as well as the Mahasabha, are pursuing litigation in this matter. At what stage are we at with respect to legal action?
In the case of the Mahasabha, I know they issued a pre-action protocol letter to which they received a response from the Teaching Service Commission. So I would believe from what we have been told that their lawyers are now looking at their options in terms of taking the matter to court. In the case of the Presbyterian board, we issued a pre-action protocol letter. We have since been asked to the Teaching Service Commission for 2 extensions. One extension was supposed to end on the 12th of May. On the 11th, we received correspondence from them asking for a further extension until the 17th of May. So we will make our decision when we received our response to the pre-action protocol letter.
Now, as it relates to...
Can I just explain?
Sure.
One of the reasons why we are looking at the litigation side is we believe that what the Teaching Service Commission has proposed and is instituting is breaching the provisions of the Concordat and the regulations and what has been established as settled practice, a system that has been in effect for 62 years. They are looking to change it without the minimal consultation with the partners who have signed that agreement, the Concordat.
How would you describe the communication between these school boards, or at least your school board and the Ministry of Education, if you're suggesting that there's minimal consultation on with regards to the Concordat? Generally speaking, though, what is the communication like between the Presbyterian School Board and the Ministry of Education?
I want to say first that the present situation is between the Teaching Service Commission mainly and the denominational boards. Our communication with the Ministry of Education has been quite good. Under the present minister, each term she has a series of stakeholders meeting where the various stakeholders, including the denominational boards, are given the opportunity to voice their opinion on the policies and programs of the Ministry of Education. During the pandemic, there were frequent consultations, and even after the pandemic, the minister has kept herself and the minister on such meeting on Thursday of this week. But Communicating with the minister herself and having these meetings has been very helpful to all our stakeholders, including our boards, in that we have had the opportunity to comment on various aspects of the ministry. In dealing with the ministry itself, the Presbyterian board has a very good relationship. We do not have any problems with education. Our relationship has always been like that and continues to be like that. We do not always agree on policies, but the communication is there with the Ministry of Education.
It's sometimes hard to remember that the Service Commission and the Ministry of Education are indeed separate, and at times it's very hard to separate them from one another. But on a different question now, Mr. Ramlal, is it that the criteria with regards to the recruitment of teachers, for example, having to be a communion member for 4 years before being able to apply to the Presbyterian School Board, is it that, given that society, younger people are not as religious or as spiritual as the elder generations, would you say that that in itself is restrictive and also contributing a contributing factor to this situation?
I don't think so. I think once we are allowed to continue to use the system that we had before, the various denominational boards will be able to recruit teachers that meet their requirements. Within the Presbyterian Church, we have many young persons who are pursuing their BA degrees, who are willing to come into the system as assistant teachers. I believe what is happening is the Ministry of Education has not been able to offer who have applied for government schools. And because of that, they are now trying to find place so the Teaching Service Commission is now trying to find place for these applicants in the denominational schools.
Mm-hmm. Now, in that sense as well, is there a need for review? Because even though the Concordat is an agreement of which we must respect because it is in place, you yourself mentioned it's over 60 years old. Society has evolved since then. Is there a need for revision of the Concordat?
I don't think any of the religious bodies or the religious boards of education will be against having discussions on the provisions of the Concordat. But these discussions cannot just be someone coming to us and say, we are going to implement this and proceed to implement it without having a proper dialogue with us. Mm-hmm. The agreement, as I said, is between the government, the state, and the various religious bodies. Mm-hmm. So whatever consultation we are having will have to be held at the highest level between the religious heads and the government and the various denominational boards. The denominational boards of education have been established by the various religious bodies to manage education in their institutions. Mm-hmm. So we are not averse to having any discussions, whether it's on provisions of the Concordat or whether it's on the Education Act, but it must be meaningful dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Ramlal, how would you respond to those who may suggest or who have suggested that the criteria may seem discriminatory? Because even though the Concordat is in place, if I am of a Hindu faith, my chances of being hired by a Presbyterian school are less likely. And mind you, if I'm of a Presbyterian faith, my chances of being hired into a Hindu school is less likely.
Well, I would not say it is discriminatory. It is a system of education that we have in Trinidad and Tobago. And part of that system of education where the government has opted to use the religious institutions for the public education. Mm-hmm. If, for instance, the religious bodies were to withdraw their schools and go private, then you would have a system where the public will have to pay for these schools, maybe subsidized by the government. Under the present system, as I said, the religious bodies and the boards of education have made their land and their buildings costing, and if we add all the bodies together, billions of dollars available to the government for education. 100% of places in the primary schools are occupied based on people applying and getting into these schools. In return, the religious bodies under the Concordat have been given the right to appoint the teachers or recommend the teachers for appointment. So I don't think it is discriminatory. It is the property of the religious bodies, and under the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, and in a court judgment with Justice Sebastian Venter, he agreed that the bodies have the right to the enjoyment of their property.
Well, Mr. Ramlal, I want to thank you very much for joining me on AM Prime this morning. I think it's a good way to start in terms of having a better understanding of what's taking place. But we would hopefully have more information that you're able to share with us following Thursday's meeting with the Commission as well as the Ministry of Education and other denominational boards. But thank you very much, sir, for your time this morning and for sharing this information with us.
Thank you very much. And just to correct, this meeting is with the Minister of Education and the denominational boards, other stakeholders. It is not with the Teaching Service Commission.
Thank you very much, sir, for that clarification. I'm actually just reading the comments by the Minister with her correspondence with the newspapers. But I appreciate that clarification.
Thank you very much for having me.
Have a good day, sir.